What's going on there, guys? Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to some out there. It's the Earthmaster on the live stream here after a crazy, windy, wet night. Power stayed on, surprisingly. It is Tuesday, December 27th, 2022. It's about 11:44 a.m. West Coast time here in California. And latest earthquake shows a 2.0 earthquake into the region of Alaska. Looks like the latest earthquake there on the globe. All right, let's go ahead and check out some activity around the flat scale model Earth here. We'll start up in Alaska. See a little bit of movement throughout the Cook Inlet area today. And general regions that we typically normally see activity in showing signs today of some movement and some pressure increasing out here in the northern end of the Pacific Plate and the North American Plate boundary. A little bit of activity here into the Gulf region yesterday as well. A couple 2s and 3s around the Alaska-Canada border. Down here into the Pacific Northwest, a little bit of movement on the Seattle Fault. Looks like that one coming in. Let's see here, 1.6 and a 1.4. The 1.4 coming in just after midnight. That's the one on the Seattle Fault. And a little bit of further movement to the southeast here up against the Cascades with that 1.6. For the most part, everything looks pretty calm here across the Pacific Northwest, into Northern California as well. Not a whole lot to report across the Bay Area regions. A little bit of activity along the creeping segment here of the San Andreas Fault. There's that branching of the Calaveras Fault zone here, showing some activity, mostly all microquakes. Let's see what we got for 2.5 and above in this area. Doesn't look like a lot. We got one down here outside of the Apple Valley area, near the Lucerne Valley, into the Ord Mountains. Now this is off of a, looks like the Linwood-Lockhart Fault zone, showing a little bit of activity today. 3.0 coming in early this morning, about 6:50 a.m. Since then, we've seen a little bit of activity throughout the southern portion of the state of California, and just on the Elsinore Fault zone, the southern end, showing a little bit of swarming down here with a couple small microquakes and a 2.4 in that region. Not a whole lot going on through the interior part of the North American Plate. Looks like Texas, Oklahoma, and the New Madrid zone all showing a little bit of activity overnight. Let's see what we got to start in Texas here. These are actually from yesterday, the 2s and 3s. And Oklahoma had some activity this morning, a couple 2s scattered out and about that state. And the New Madrid zone, 2 earthquakes. 2.2 is the magic number for both of those quakes, occurring just after midnight into the area of the New Madrid zone. Eastern portion of the country, pretty quiet. Not a whole lot going on further that way. And the Puerto Rico region, looks like most of the activity there from yesterday. We have seen a couple smaller quakes today, including 3.2 in the mix here of the swarming. The Middle America Trench here. Now I have to go to the region of the Earthquake 3D globe, and not really seen too much activity on that today. Some of this movement here from yesterday. Notice the kind of the redder color rings indicating some older movement. So not a whole lot happening today in that area. Down into the South America region, about the same. Really only one earthquake showing up here, and that was from yesterday. But we did have some smaller quakes, 2s and 3s, within the last 24 hours in that zone. Down here in the South Sandwich Trench, 5.1 from yesterday. All right, let's see what we got for newer activity here. Western Pacific and New Zealand area. All this activity here from yesterday. Doesn't show nothing on the map far as newer activity goes. A look at the data here. Looks like we did see 3.3 North Island, New Zealand. Pretty recent and also fairly deep as well. Let me check out the latest activity here from the GeoNet servers and see what we can come up with. Yesterday, this is at 4.1. 49 minutes ago, now we had a 2.8. Relatively shallow, about 18 kilometers deep there for that earthquake. And let me see what else we got for the all magnitudes. Mostly some small microquakes. within the last hour. Aside from that 2.8, looks like that's about it. Just some general small earthquake activity there around New Zealand today. So really no major movement across the board here. Over here around the Indonesia area and Java Trench regions, again, all this activity from yesterday. Only one 5.0 just after midnight into the Banda Sea region at 80 kilometers deep. Up here into the, we got a little earthquake here off the coast of Taiwan. That one coming in from yesterday as well, 4.9. And one earthquake today into the region of the Kuril-Kamchatka Trench, 59 kilometers deep for a 4.6. So just a little spotty activity today. Not really seeing any major adjustments anywhere at all. Looking over further west here, all this from yesterday. A couple fours throughout the region. Let me glance at the EMSC model here and see what we have. Now it looks as though, kind of looks as though there's a couple fours and some threes also occurring into the Japan region and the Japan Trench, it looks like there in this area right here. That's not being reported, so looks like we're missing a couple earthquakes there for the Japan region on the USGS map. Some smaller quakes, but man, looks a little on the quiet side today, folks, as far as major earthquake movement goes. Again, could be the calm before the storm. Got 2.0 over here into the Strait regions. Some 2s and 3s really picking up, it looks like, throughout the Mediterranean area today. Nothing major, but just definitely seeing some increasing activity. We did have that earthquake last night into the Egypt area. And a couple of those earthquakes showing up on the globe. Looks like off the coast of Algeria in Morocco region. All right, Yellowstone National Park. Don't believe we're seeing any major swarming in this area. Looks pretty quiet. Let's go back to the earthquake map here and check out the big island of Hawaii, where we're still seeing some activity kicking up here. Quite a bit this morning as well, some 2s and 3s. One earthquake up at the top of Mauna Loa, negative earthquake, or a negative depth, negative 1.1 for a 1.9, indicating some very shallow earthquake activity there. Quick glance at the Kīlauea seismograph stations here. Now let me see if I can pull it up. Looks, let's see if that's the most recent one. I believe it is, but I want to make sure. Let me zoom in here. Stand by for just a second here. Kīlauea volcano sits within this area. There's a lava lake region, and seismograph stations, at least on this graph here, look kind of odd. And I say that because I'm not seeing any normal, typical earthquake activity on there. So I'm not for sure what's going on with that seismograph station. This one here looks a little bit more appropriate to monitor because we're seeing some of the smaller quakes and the larger quakes there around the Kīlauea volcano. And also this weird reading again in the last couple hours. Now that's doesn't look like wind, doesn't look like earthquake activity, but we did see this a couple days ago on this around the same seismograph stations here in the Big Island around Kīlauea. So not for sure. It could be some magma movement stirring up down below. A couple of these stations are offline, so it's kind of hard to compare all of them. But that signature is also showing up here, a little bit weaker on this seismograph station as well, but it's there. So we got something stirring up underneath the Kīlauea volcano area. And again, a lot of these stations are offline. There's that reading as well, but a little bit less as a signature. Not very, it's not as much prominent here on this station as others, but it's there. So that graph is showing some odd earthquake or all odd magma movement once again in that area. Up here around Mauna Loa, seismograph stations appear to be offline still. So unable to get a correct access or viewing of this data up here. There's that one earthquake. This one here looks like that's going to be the the larger earthquake that struck up here just overnight, which was a 3.2, I believe, near the southeast of the Kīlauea volcano, north of the hill in the slump, 2.2 kilometers deep. That one was, let's see when that kicked up here. 14:33 UTC time, so 14:33 UTC time date would be right here. Alrighty, let's see what else we have. I'll just kind of watch this day and see how it plays out. Maybe the calm before the storm. I'm still waiting on the storm. It really hasn't happened here. I haven't really seen any major uptick in earthquake activity here recently. Just been kind of spread out all over the place. But I'm sure there's certain areas that are getting ready. Alrighty, a quick glance here at the solar weather activity. Looks like still seeing some elevated conditions overnight. KP index around 4 to 5, indicating those active conditions there for the northern lights at the higher latitudes. Still ongoing right now with the aurora forecast. 30-minute aurora forecast still shows some potential around the unlit side of the Earth. That's going to be over around northern Russia area. And of course, Antarctica, if you're down there. No major flares overnight. Looks like we are crackling with some C flares. And we did have an M flare yesterday. And it looks like we may have reached some other low-grade M flares overnight as well. Nothing spectacular, but either way, a little period of activity uptick across the region. I believe most of it's coming from 3176 over here. It's a new sunspot. It is rotating into view this way, and it will be facing Earth pretty soon. It does look like it's growing and getting unstable. A lot of instability here with all the colors, the magnetic structures. I believe that one definitely harbors a potential for some stronger flaring. Right now, 99% chance for a C flare, 45% for an M flare, and X flare has been elevated to 15%. And I believe, let's see here, there's 3169, which harbors a beta gamma magnetic structure class. Now 3176, the newer named sunspot, looks like it only harbors a beta class, but it's still rather large and pretty complex in its magnetic structure, so maybe they'll update that here soon. 3176 was the most recent M flare, so we'll watch that. Aside from that, folks, yeah, we'll see how it goes with this new sunspot. Maybe this brave little sunspot can provide us with some major solar activity. I think that'd be kind of cool to see some stronger flares and subsequent CMEs. So we'll wait and watch and see how it plays out. These other sunspots here kind of look like they're degrading and, of course, turning away from Earth. These other Earth-facing sunspots look rather small and fairly stable. Doesn't look like they're going to be holding up to produce anything, but we'll keep an eye on 3176. As you can see, this was, I believe, last night. The most recent image is going to be right here. So notice the intensity here of the colors, indicating some stronger growth and instability with that sunspot. So 3176. We'll keep that number in mind as we head through the day today and the next coming days and see what it produces. Alrighty, guys, have a good day. 1.0 looks like coming into California. Again, activity really spread out all over the place here today and over the last 24 hours. So we'll just be on guard. A couple quiet areas out there. Of course, the Mariana Trench, Izu Trench area. They've seen some deeper movement quakes a couple days ago with hardly any upstream earthquake activity around the subduction levels. Another quiet zone here across the Indonesia or the Papua New Guinea, Solomon Islands, and the Fiji's seen a little bit, but we're still kind of lacking the deep earthquake movement that normally starts out here. And then from that, once we start getting the deeper earthquakes there, then we'll see that westward pressure movement really kick up. So just kind of waiting on that key indicator. We'll keep an eye on it. Until then, have a great day. And by the way, we picked up almost an inch and a half of rainfall overnight, which is awesome. The wind blew, I think, up to 60 miles per hour, but the power stayed on. I'm really surprised, which is good news because the stream never went down. And we got more rain, a lot more rain coming up in the forecast here in a couple days. So I'm pretty happy. We need the rain badly. Have a good one, folks. We'll catch you guys a little bit later on tonight. Peace out.